goodness. Final panel for us. Final panel.
No kidding, right? We're held hostage to our computers all weekend, but it's all for a good cause because we're here to talk about super cool stuff that we don't want people to miss out on, right?
That's okay if they miss out on it. That's okay. That's okay. So where are we at? It's 5:03. There's only there's a panel after this on the DCAF app update, which has some really cool features, and then the so long farewell till May panel with Bill. Yep, that's it.
Yep. Winding down.
I'm not even gonna talk this whole panel, Tatiana. You just do what you like. I'm just gonna stare off at my computer.
That's fine. We'll just see how long it takes for people to leave. No, really, we have a very good guest today, though, so they better not leave.
Did you ever watch Craig Ferguson? Do you ever watch late night show with Craig Ferguson?
A little bit, not too much.
He would do you get to choose between like money or like an awkward pause, and he would do a lot of awkward pauses, and they would just sit there and they would just look at each other for like a minute, and it felt like 5 minutes. So we have a guest here. We're going to talk about game related art. Another thing that we like to fold into OAX, another category of art that a lot of people just had the same sort of like mini epiphany, like, wow, that stuff exists. Wow, where do you find that? Wow, who has it? Wow, it's too late. Damn it. Someone already has a lot of it. But it's still floating out there, and there's some incredible art related to the video game field and other related games that we want to talk about. So we have a good friend. His name is Jeremy. He's a very nice Canadian. And hi, Jeremy.
Hi, how's it going?
See, very nice man.
I feel like that's redundant. Nice Canadian, you know.
That's the requirement for citizenship, I think.
We're in a war with Canada right now. All right, they don't get that description so easily anymore.
That's right.
Right.
So be careful what you say, right?
Yeah, my eyebrows are silky and healthy. Black Viper of Doom, just for you, brother. I get the oil from my nose and I just streak them back like this. I'm good to go on the town. New York City, look out. So we're talking about game art. Jeremy, now you have been collecting game art for a while, or certainly it feels that way. Maybe that's not true.
It feels like a while. Yeah, it's I guess it's been about 5.5 years now, almost 6 years. Yeah.
Anything pre-pandemic was like last century. They should do like a new century for 2020.
It feels like it. Yeah, it's like a whole, it's like just it's a cut down the middle in that timeline there.
So this is going to be a little bit of an intro to game art 101 sort of thing. Where to look, what rocks to look under that have already been looked under. Haha, too bad. But just a little orientation. So, like for example, for you, you grew up a gamer. You grew up loving video games. I take it a lot of like iconic games, titles, fonts, imagery, what have you. But there's always that first piece. There's always that first moment. Right? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, well, I guess I transitioned sort of out of comic book collecting, and I started collecting retro games. So like I think I went to a collectible shop and I saw a mint complete in box Ocarina of Time, like the shiny. Well, I have one right here so you can see it. This is a sealed copy. Yeah, but I saw a complete in box copy in perfect condition, and I was like, wow, that's a blast from the past. And I just bought it. I thought I paid way too much for it, but it just kind of made me think like, oh, retro games are collectible. I know people have been doing it for a long time, but I think I started that around 2014, 15, something like that. And then art came around 2019. It just kind of got my first piece, and it was bam. It's like,
was it heritage? Was it like you just happened to see it, or?
It was kind of an interesting event. I had a rare sealed copy of it was a Canadian copy of Super Metroid. And I don't think I might have had the only copy known. It was a Canadian variant, which is really hard to find. And there's a guy in Canada who collects these rare Canadian variants. And he's like, oh, I also have artwork. And he has a massive art collection. And so he's like, well, if you want some art, I can give you some options. And so we came to an agreement, and I traded this game and a bit of cash for a Super Nintendo cover for it's a basketball game called That was my first piece. And
What is a Canadian variant other than the price seeming bigger?
yeah, well, you know what it
Number
is?
being bigger.
It has English and French on
Okay.
it. So
Right. So it's
you
not a
know,
Quebecois. It's not a Quebecois variant because the French would be first from left to right. It's
yeah,
English and
that's
French
right.
together. Right.
Yeah, and typically there are Canadian variants of first-party titles as far back as Super Nintendo and even some NES, but like Mario has a Canadian variant with English and French. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past has French language versions, 2 different ones that are extremely hard to find. So there's all kinds of like little, niche variants in here.
Dan Goodwin, Dragon's Lair collection.
Mm.
Dragon's Lair theme, right, Dan? Getting a whole bunch of artists to do Dragon's Lair. I was talking to someone on the other day, and they hated Dragon's Lair. I'm like, how? And they were talking like 1981 or when it came out. That game was revolutionary. That was the first game where we went to the shopping mall. It was in Gainesville, Florida, Aladdin's Castle, and there was the box. There was the whatever. It had a second screen on the top because everyone would be around it. There'd be a horde of people, so they had to put a second screen to mirror what was going on, so everyone could watch it. How could you hate that?
Yeah,
It was amazing.
yeah, especially Don Bluth animation. He was a legend at that time.
Tatiana, you have some game art, no?
Yeah, I tend to collect things that would be categorized under game art, but are a little bit more tangential. Like I collect a lot of Witcher art. So there's no art for the games, but I own like comic book and book covers. So there's a lot of things around game art. And I was just laughing to myself a minute ago. I'm like, every time we have a show about some other art that you can collect, Tatiana's on it because Tatiana collects everything.
Yeah. Cabinet. Thank you, Goo. It was cabinet. Couldn't remember. Yeah. I need Zevia, even though it's corrosive. So from what I can tell, you got the bug and you went whole hog. Like, your shit. You're scary. Some of the stuff we talked about, like low print magazine from Botswana that had an image on page 26 in black and white that didn't print right in 90% of the print run, but you had one with a good print run and you sourced it back and you found it. I mean, that level of, it's not just game art for boxes or cartridges, it's advertisements, it's all of the surrounding industry, the coverage.
Yeah, it's anything I would say that is directly connected to the game itself, like the magazine covers, the ads commissioned by the same marketing company that did the box art, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I really gravitated to that.
And I take it that there's some magazines that are higher profile, and so the art would be a little bit more coveted. I mean, just for the magazine alone, let alone the artist or the quality of the art or the game, it's just where it was placed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Nintendo Power, that artwork fetches a lot of money. It's very concentrated right now in the nonprofit that I'm on the board of, the Interactive Art Collection. So we have a flagship Art of Nintendo Power exhibit, and it contains I don't even know how many covers we have, maybe 25, 30 of the original painted covers, interior pieces, even fan envelopes. They used to do stuff where a fan would draw artwork on the envelope and then mail it to Nintendo Power, and they would publish it in the magazine. And as we know, someone like J. Scott Campbell had his first published artwork in Nintendo Power. So there's these fan letters that have artwork on the envelopes. Our curator Stefan Rees, he has sourced and collected these and has like multiple frames with like tons of these things. Things like that, they should not exist, but people hung on to them, and now they're part of the museum, so it's pretty special.
I wanted to share this question for Marcus because it's really a good question, and I think I'll let Jeremy answer that.
Sure, throw it at me.
So he's asking do you care about commissions of video game characters or just used images?
I think it's a legitimate interest to have commissions made of your favorite properties, because oftentimes that's the only way you can get something for the game, like to own published Legend of Zelda art, for example, is a pretty difficult, if not impossible, feat. So sometimes your only recourse is to commission something. I have commissioned a piece. It's kind of a special exception or a special circumstance in that way. But personally, I collect published artwork.
Yeah, Jeremy and I have talked about like maybe curating a gallery show in LA or New York, though, based on video games, as long as there isn't a copyright or some sort of IP related issue. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But I remember I asked you, like, if a piece of art is known to not exist anymore, whether having the original artist do a one-of-one recreation of it would be looked at not just as something to do, but even in the marketplace as something that over time would be looked at as having value. And it's probably the art collecting community. I don't know if it's asked and answered that question yet. It's sort of well, you tell us. That's I wonder if that's even happened or if that's common at all.
I mean, it's definitely a thing in Magic the Gathering art. It has been for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even comic art. I mean, they had Kirby do lots of covers back in the day, Buscema, Stan Lee. I'm joking, but they redo very expensive old things, and with a limited run, Sotheby's, or was it Sotheby's or Christie's, had that auction back in the day. Those are fairly coveted recreations.
Yeah, with the paintings, right? Or I remember
these are like
senior doing something.
Yeah, and the black and white covers as well.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's interesting when I think of stuff like Magic the Gathering or Marvel cards or comic books. It's very artist driven because you have promotion of the artist right on the card or the comic book. You can see who drew it. You can follow that artist. You can appreciate their work. But I think in a lot of cases, unless it's like Boris or Julie, you don't know who did what. So I think for a lot of collectors of this type of art, it's very property driven. So it's like the franchise, the Sonics, the Mario. It's like that's kind of what drives it, I think. And now, as we progress, we are learning who did what. And I think we'll show originalvideogameart.com. We have an artist roster that shows everything that artist has done, and it's grown quite extensively over the last 3 or 4 years as we've researched and uncovered things.
So that brings us to the first absolutely invaluable resource, originalvideogameart.com, recently relaunched and friendly to people from around the world, including Americans. So the link is in the chat. Yeah. And you're a big contributor to that, right? Article wise, research wise.
Yeah, I did write an article for it. I don't think the article section is up at the moment, but it was kind of like a game art 101. Like, how do I get into it? What kind of artwork is out there? What can I expect to get for what kind of value or price, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow. 429 original artworks by last name, viewed any way that you want.
Yeah. And if you go to the artist section at the top, you can browse. It's for some reason it's categorized alphabetically by first name for whatever reason. But you can see there's quite a extensive list of artists who have contributed either magazine art or advertisement art or packaging artwork. If they've done it, we usually will put it there.
Yeah, you go through it and you run into Bill Morrison, Bob Eccleston, Boris Vallejo, Bruce Timm. I mean, when you go through it, it might be only one every 5 or 7 or 10 names that we know, but Dave DeVries, Dave Dorman. It's a lot of crossover.
I'm looking at the stuff Donato did.
Donato, yeah.
He has a painting I want, but it's very expensive.
Drew Struzan. The Vanguard or the Stratego.
Yeah.
And then he has that, if you scroll down, there's that Bard's Tale piece from PS2, which is cool.
That's a great piece, yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. There's actually, if there's supplemental photos, it's all there.
Donato also did, I believe, the key artwork for Star Wars Galaxies, which is the first Star Wars MMO, and I played a lot of that. So I was like, I love that piece, but it's a big piece. Like he painted large, and it's very expensive.
So this group, I mean, much like the Magic Art group that Tatiana helps admin on Facebook, this OVGA Facebook page, again, the link is going in here. I think it's a private group.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
you
that
can
page is absolutely like a daily take a look what people are posting type page. It's the place.
yeah, all the collectors who have stuff are there, and people share, and you can, you know, search in the bar Sonic or, you know, whatever franchise you like, and generally someone has probably posted something at some point. I think it goes all the way back to 2018 or something. So it's been around for a while now.
Art, you know, that people have acquired, art for sale. It's there. You know, the Art Adams piece that was used to preview the show, I think was bought at Comic Link and then posted by the winner on OBGA pinball art. There's the Instagram link, and the last one will be the YouTube link. And there's 3 or 4 people mainly on the YouTube channel. It's Dan and who else? Who am I forgetting?
Sanford and Ibrahim. Who
Ibrahim,
does
yeah.
the Sanford and Ibrahim mostly do the website stuff. So the originalvideogameart.com stuff. They
Right.
kind of take care of that.
Ibrahim's the one out of the UK, if I remember.
Yeah.
He works at Prop Store. Yeah.
He does, yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
They're Dan especially, they're impressive people, man. Dude, they know their stuff. It's kind of scary. I'm hoping that they can get drawn out of the darkness of the internet world, and I hope they can come to OAX. I would love to meet them.
Yeah. It's a really small, tight-knit community, which has grown a lot the last few years as, you know, more stuff has kind of found its way out of concentrated collectors' hands into, you know, like entry pieces have been available on Heritage for the last few years.
Mhm.
Some nice higher end pieces have been available too. So there's been some good opportunities for folks to kind of get their, you know, get their first piece.
So do you mind just showing an example? I know that you've got some stuff all around you. It just
Yeah.
hold it up and we can make the screen big. You can talk about the piece and
Sure.
any of that, anything you're willing to share, just so we can see what we're talking about.
Well, let's do one, you know, this crowd will definitely know. This is Neil Adams, American Gladiators.
Oh, wow.
So Neil Adams and Rudy Nebris piece. And I remember the story with this one was I had emailed about it, I think 2020 or 2019 or something. And it was 4 years later when I got an email from Jason Adams. This is, you know, after Neil had passed, and he's like, "Hey, we found this in a drawer. I know you'd asked about it like all these years ago, but here it is. If you want it, you can buy it." So I'm like,
Wow.
well, yeah. NES, and, you know, yeah, to have, I think this is the only, as far as I know, this is the only known packaging artwork for video games by Neil. So yeah, that's a special one. I like that one. And I guess another comic example, which I just grabbed off the wall, was this lovely Wolverine, which I got from a collector on CAF. This is Randy Green and Rick Ketchum for Adamantium Wolverine's Rage, not Adamantium Rage. That's the earlier one. I get them confused, but yeah, it's a nice, you know, full page image. Really, really clean work. I really like it.
Do you know what year that was done?
Yeah, this is 2001. So it's a very late Game Boy Color game. I think as Game Boy Advance had come out, or was just coming out around that time too.
That's crazy. Yeah. Thank you. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And you sent me a few. Heritage is a great place to look. Heritage is a great resource.
Yeah, there've been some good sales over the last few years.
Pretty regular in the art that they offer. Are they doing a good job of categorizing it or cobbling it together as the video game art, or are you still finding strays in different auctions? with game related art.
Sometimes there are random, especially with the international auctions. I know some video game related pieces have found themselves just in general international illustration auctions. I think there was a Mario 3 piece, maybe last
Wow.
year or something like that. Yeah,
That
no one
game.
knows where it was published, but it was, a really cool painting. I think probably done for a Euro poster or something.
So Tatiana, if it's okay, I'm going to bring up. Jeremy sent just 5 heritage results links art along. I'm going to share the screen now.
Mhm.
You can let us know about these.
Yeah,
So-
Bionic Commando, Frank Sirocco, who is no stranger to comic collectors.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, so that's one of the nice Capcom titles for NES. One of the great titles. I'm not sure how it came to Heritage, but somehow it did, and it's owned by a member of our group now.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, really lovely work. And fairly sizable, too. I think it's like 18 by 20 or something like that.
Let's see.
Maybe even bigger.
20.25, 15 by 20.
Nice.
But I don't know if there's a whiteboard or there's no additional images.
Yeah. Sometimes, that has been something we've been... If we see an auction come up with artwork and it's not quite described properly, we'll try and get clarification and get them to update their descriptions and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure everything's accurate. And
All right. How do you pronounce Florchak?
Florchak, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the iconic titles of all time, Prince of Persia. This is the first cover for the PC version, and the guy who posed as the Grand Vizier is Kevin Nealon, who was SNL actor.
Oh.
No kidding.
And from what I understand, Kevin Nealon had the painting this whole time, and he consigned it to Heritage. So
that's funny.
This one definitely, I think it's the highest selling piece of game art right now on public auction.
Do you know what it gabbled at?
It says 63.
Yeah,
63 was with the buyer's premium.
Yeah.
That's what I've been checking right now. As you've been on there, I've been checking.
I didn't log in.
Yeah.
The Frank Sirocco piece was 45.6.
Yeah, and I think the next highest one in between that was we were talking about Dragon's Lair. There was a poster piece that was used to promote the video game, I think. And that's owned by the same collector who owns the Art Adams X-Men Marvel Superheroes piece.
That's awesome. Okay. And we've got Top Gun, Guts and Glory.
Yeah. Tom Du Bois. He is one of the great game artists who basically did all the Konami stuff. Anything Konami, it's probably Tom Du Bois.
What's the cutoff year generally? It's somewhere in the early 2000s where things went digital, or is it mid 2000s or even later?
I would even say the mid 90s.
Mid 90s.
Yeah, wow.
N64 came out N64 came out in 96, I think, and there are very few N64 games that have any kind of original artwork for the covers. So yeah, it's a pretty limited window. You're really looking at, I want to say 1980 to 95, really, unless you have outliers that
were
awesome, traditional. Yeah, it's a lovely piece. And I think the published version was the painting was the other way on the box. They flipped it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
93.
Yeah, that's a cool piece. Yeah, here, N64.
Yeah, so you start to see things you see more black and white images. You start to see that progression towards things being more and more digital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is infamously known as one of the worst video games of all time. The N64 Superman. Everyone was disappointed when they played that game, that's for sure. But Mike DiCarlo, he did a lot of artwork for, creative services and all that, like game artwork, probably board game stuff that was
Merchandising.
on t-shirt merchandising. Yeah, I have a Mike DiCarlo Superman back here too, actually, but it's the Sega Genesis one.
So sorry, what's the Harvey collection?
That is the collection of Adam Harvey, who's one of he was maybe, I don't know if this is correct, but I do believe he was probably the first guy specifically hunting game art, and this would have been the early 2000s. So he and Adam and Dan are kind of like, I would say, the two main guys.
Yeah.
The two OGs. Yeah.
Do you know about this, Tatiana?
I don't, but you can ask Donato at OAX 26. Ask him in person.
Donato has a number always for things he doesn't want to sell.
Yeah, I believe that.
Josh, that old Atari art, that gets me. That stuff is so good.
Yeah, Atari stuff is tough. It's tough. A lot of stuff was thrown out when they went out of business.
Mm-hmm.
They had there's a picture of the wall, the company wall, and they have painting after painting of Atari Lynx covers, and they were just mostly thrown in the garbage.
Did anyone spread a rumor about landfills, and are there like little meetup groups that go to different landfills looking for fragments of pieces of art?
We're gonna dig decades down and hope we find something. Yeah,
that's funny.
In a frame,
This is
people
cool.
have found giant piles of video games that got thrown out from distributors and stuff.
ET is the big one.
Yep.
This is a great piece.
This is great. I would have loved this piece. I have a piece by Steven Perringer, who's the artist of this, but it's a Nintendo NES advertisement piece, so it has all the iconography. But this is really special because this is probably the only known traditional artwork associated with Mario 64. And this was in all the magazines when N64 was first announced. It's like, bam, here's the new Nintendo console. Here's the flagship release title. That's it. So I think it did. I feel like it could have done a lot more, but I think whoever got it for 27 or whatever it is, I think that's a great deal.
So this one's pretty large as well. The board is 18 by 23 from 1996. I'm trying to see which auction this was in. So this was
that was pretty recent. Yeah.
Well,
it was definitely a nice grab. I don't know who got it, but it was a nice one. I won the one of the other ones in that auction.
Those are great.
Yeah. Yeah, Steven was also a very prolific artist. He did a lot of game art, even recently when he was still working. He was.
I was going to ask, if Steven was still amongst us or working.
He passed away last year. He unfortunately got ALS, so it was his life and career was cut short. But he left a big legacy of lots of great artwork as far back as the 80s.
Right. We talked about how a lot of these artists are well into their 70s or just creeped into their 70s. Some of them in the 80s. Some of them, of course, have passed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting period of time because there was a lot of artists who were prolific illustrators. And, as soon as the digital stuff started coming in, it's like you either had to adapt or you switch careers entirely. And I know both sides of it. It's like some artists who continued on the digital path, some who just quit entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it's interesting because if you want to find, there's this period of time where we know that most stuff was traditional. If you want to find stuff like new stuff now, it's just completely different. It's almost like waiting to see, if an image comes up that people recognize that it's an artist who worked traditionally, like the Fortnite loading screens. That's one of the new collecting areas that we've seen. Sonia did one of them last year. I have a collector I've been working with the last couple of years now who collects Fortnite art, and so we sold that piece to him. And I know there's been a handful of other Fortnite screens that have been done by traditional illustrators. So it becomes this completely different way of looking for art than it was back, when you're looking at a time period when it's like, we know it exists. Now it's like,
Yeah.
something might exist, but we just have to kind of wait and see when something comes up.
Yeah. And it's, I'm not a huge fan of Fortnite, but I know it's really popular, and kudos to them for bringing these artists on board to do traditional pieces. It's a really great thing. And one property I really like is Resident Evil, and it sort of came at that cutoff of traditional versus digital artwork. So it's very hard to get stuff from that game because most of it is all digital, unless it's like the comic book stuff that was kind of alongside it, or yeah.
So there is this Art of the Box book, which I think you can highly recommend. Yeah, that I think
yeah,
some of your collection is in that book, if I remember right.
it is. Yeah.
This book, guys, if you're interested, it's like, I think it's only $35 on Amazon. It is a brick. It is kind of incredible. I've got a couple copies. This one's going to somebody else.
I've even seen it in Canada in the stores in Indigo. I've seen that book. So it's getting around. It's good.
Bitmap, I think it's printed in the UK. I think Bitmap is a UK-based publisher, right? They've got really interesting stuff. The link's there, guys.
564 pages.
Yeah, this is a good question from Marcus as well. Like, just sort of surrounding what's the satellite? What's the concentric circles? Like, core is like, you've got your Nintendo box art, right? And then you've got like a layer of advertisements, promotional, even by the company. Then you've got, just call it industry mags, news coverage, bits that appear here and there. You've got the little random releases, again, like in Canada and Botswana and all these third world countries that we've
all those Botswana releases.
Right. But you've got preparatory work. At least back in the day, you would think that there would have been a design work. Like, I've seen a lot of Hasbro design work for like GI Joe stuff, just developmental work. Does that stuff ever surface, or are we just wishful thinking now? It's like a half a century later from that kind of stuff.
For sure. A lot of these companies sort of, it was like boom and bust, So I think especially the companies that went bust, a lot of their internal development stuff kind of made its way out to collectors' hands. So you do see sometimes, level design sketches or character design sketches, and that's more kind of the internal stuff. It certainly exists.
I know a lot of it's under NDA still, right? So people can't, like, people might have stuff, but they're not allowed to sell it.
Right. Yeah. Especially if it's a still current IP. Yeah. I would assume that would be the case. Yeah.
So it wasn't a situation where some of these artists back in the day just had loads and loads of this stuff at home because it wasn't controlled. Generally speaking, that stuff was still sort of kept on premises by the company, controlled because of a control of potential valuable IP. These guys didn't have like sketchbooks and mounds and mounds and mounds of scraps of papers with all sorts of cool shit on it, as best as we know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of varies a bit.
One can dream.
Yeah, I know. You have companies, I think, that did kind of control the artwork internally. Like, I do know some companies like Blizzard who retained a lot of their box artwork in their archives. So they sort of had direct hand in it because they were, popular at the time. But there were certainly lots of smaller companies who would just say, this is kind of what we want, give it to the marketing company, and then they would do it. And then it kind of just remains outside of the company. So there's definitely lots of unique circumstances depending on who you're dealing with, how big the company
Somebody
was.
had asked earlier in the chat about Warcraft art. I'm sorry, I forgot who asked it, but I remember it was asked earlier in the chat. And that reminds me of that, because that's a complicated conversation, because Warcraft is a lot of different things now. Warcraft encompasses a lot of different things now.
I would assume they mean the first two games. Those are painted. The artist is Justin Carroll. I'm fortunate to have 7 paintings of his, not the Warcraft ones, but I wish. But he did paint those 2 for Warcraft 1 and 2. And Blizzard, as far as I know, they at least have 2. I've seen the original. But 1, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, if they were interested in any Warcraft, World of Warcraft, any of that franchise related stuff, were only really able to pick up originals through Hearthstone when that was an active game, because there were a handful of artists like um, Alex Horley who did like originals and stuff for that. So that's one of those things where when people ask, well, how does that count? Does that count as video game art? You know, it's one of those related areas, and
Mhm.
it all comes down to what's available, what are you interested in. Like it's not a right or wrong thing, but I know that's a traditionally very difficult franchise to collect as well.
It's true, yeah. And I believe Braum did the covers for World of Warcraft, and the only
Mhm.
thing that people can get from those is like the prelims. I know there are some prelims out there for those covers, but as far as the paintings go, I'm sure Blizzard has them.
It's one of those things, I swear, like in 50 years, because you know, when you watch heritage auctions, there's always these like collections that come up all the time. This person who worked for this company, it's their stuff, you know, blah 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 blah. And there's just going to be one day where it's going to be like all of that stuff is just all going to get released into like a big heritage auction, you know, all the Blizzard stuff. Like, but who knows how long it's going to be? It's not one of those things that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I think all of us who kind of specialize in this area are just always just keeping your ear to the ground, and you never know what's going to pop up through any kind of, you know, lead you've put out there.
Let me bring this up too, because maybe dummy me, but I'd never seen this before until I was just looking for an image for the show preview. I mean, this is unbelievable.
It's
Art
fantastic.
Adams artwork. This is like one of my favorite Art Adams pieces, like a top 10 piece easy. I'd never seen it before. It's for the backlight, right? For a pinball machine, I think.
No, for the arcade.
Yep.
For the arcade.
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
For
the
the
arcade.
arcade. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's such a great piece of Art Adams art, especially if you love, you know, his X-Men and Spider-Man. Like it's great imagery. And for me personally, the one I connected with was the PS1 version of this game, and that's Joe Mad who did that art.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where that
By the
is.
way, Joe Mad appeared out of nowhere. Go to the Ink Pulp podcast. He was just on last week. It was great to see
Really?
him on there. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, he's alive. Maybe we can try to sneak him out. Get
He's
him
busy
and
working on games.
yeah, well,
Yep.
you know, hey, maybe we some of the dumb acronym generating that we're doing over here at CAF will end up working. We can get Tim Townsend in to show him around town. He can come to OAX next year and we can talk about that. This is great.
Yeah,
This
it is really great. Yeah, and that's owned by a collector in our group in the UK who has built a nice collection over the last couple of years.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
So Dan's question in the chat about Fallout 4, the answer is none.
Yeah,
If there was Fallout art, original art in the wild, I would know about it. That's one of my very favorite franchises. You can learn a lot more about a lot of these discussions in the next episode of All Access Art as well, by the way, because Jeremy's on. We talk about game art, but we talk about Fallout in there, and there's nothing.
Yeah, there's only
nothing.
one painting I know of, and I know the artist, and he didn't have it. So I'm like, would have been a great thing to have. But you know, there might be internal design artwork. I know I've seen sketches of the nuclear, you know, the little boy, the boy guy character. I forget what his name is.
The Pip Boy.
Pip Boy, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you're talking about. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, box art, no, for sure not.
Let me talk about this just for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to video game art. There is pinball art, and there are even people still that make original art for pinball machines.
There's a Facebook group too. I can get you a link.
Thank you. And you know, we are launching Game Art Expo at OAX, GAX at OAX, and the idea behind it is a little bit more educational. We can bring in a lot of unbelievable special galleries related to game art from within the community. And then we're going to try to use that to get dealers to start bringing some of their game art inventory, or just to help in finding it and then bringing it to OAX. And of course, collectors to come and have a place to congregate for that.
I could show that now, right? Because this was the last
Oh,
announcement.
sure, why not?
Stuff
Yeah,
for the
so
weekend.
we've got Card Art
GAX.
Expo. Yeah, GAX, there it is. Green for G. And I think what we're again most excited about with this is the incredible special gallery ideas that are already popping up, the exhibits. Jeremy again is a board member of the Nintendo Power. What's the official name of that one?
The Interactive Art Collection. It is it's a nonprofit. You can donate to it if you so choose.
And I think the West Coast based, if I remember. Yeah.
Based in just outside of LA. Yeah.
And we're going to do everything that we can to bring that to OAX in 2027. It's outstanding. Probably only a fraction of it could come out. But this year we're working with a group called Project Pinball. I'm very, very proud for CAF to be working with them. They're a 501c3 that mobilizes the pinball collector community, and they get really they get some high-end pinball machines, or they fundraise in order to buy new machines, and they place them in children's hospitals all across the United States. It's an absolutely perfect nonprofit mission statement, amazing group of people situation. And I think to date, I think the numbers are somewhere around 90-ish pinball machines that they have donated to 69 different hospitals, 70 or so different hospitals in almost 30 states. And what we're doing is we're working with them right now to try to have a special gallery at in February, where we're going to have a selection of pinball machines, and we're going to have some of the play fields and translights and back glass, and maybe some original pieces of art for various pinball machines, and then get the community involved in CAF, of course, add them to the auction and fundraiser, and let's try to get a pinball machine in a children's hospital. There's one selected here in Orlando. So with any luck, we'll getting the info out for that in December and starting the fundraiser leading up to OAX, and then capping off meeting the goal, the 10,000 or 12,000, whatever the goal will end up being. Try to meet that goal by the last day of OAX. Okay. And so this is another example of what we can do with GAX, the pinball community, the pinball art, the special galleries, the crazy Nintendo folks, and all sorts of other interactive galleries are waiting for us. Jeremy, we talked briefly. I thought maybe, I know with the pinball community, there's some places where people sort of show up and they have sort of museum presentations, like old machines, old advertisements, some of the inner electrical workings and some of the innovations that they made with that. But related to video game art, are there places where people actually bring out the art and they're encouraged, different conventions, local, regional, larger ones, where the art is shown from time to time?
Yeah, I've certainly seen YouTube videos of convention panels with pinball artists, like Paul Ferris is a big one. I know I've seen videos of him being interviewed, showing his work, and he certainly is an artist who has done a lot of game art as well. He's done NES covers.
And I actually meant video game art. Yeah, I've seen some of the pinball stuff, but specific to video game art, okay. I know, you're the group that you work with, your nonprofit actively seeks out opportunities to show off the collection. But generally speaking, is that something that happens? What kind of shows would someone go to for video games? I know that there's some larger ones, and do any of them take the opportunity or make the effort to show off any of the historical components of the video game industry, inclusive of art? I guess that's the general question.
Yeah. I know there's like the Video Game History Foundation. I'm sure they have done presentations at like Portland Retro. There's Too Many Games in Philadelphia. There's SoCal Gaming Expo. There's all these kinds of video game conventions around, and there's certainly more of them now than there used to be.
Mm.
So I know the interactive art collection has made has done a lot to kind of have museum setups at a lot of these conventions, especially on the West Coast, where it's easy
Oh
to
yeah.
commute the art, because you're talking about renting a van and taking 50, 60 frames with you or something, and yeah, so it's a finely tuned process at this point. But I think the furthest they've gone up is like to PAX West in Seattle. We did our second show there as the kind of flagship museum exhibit. And the first time we did it, Nintendo was there. They were doing Nintendo Live at the same time. So it was really interesting, kind of walking around the art gallery museum exhibit. And then it's like, Shinya Takahashi, who's like one of the Nintendo executives, shows up and he's at our, museum exhibit. And you're like, well, I've seen you on the Nintendo Directs. And yeah, it's kind of mind blowing when you think about it.
What is the, give me an idea of like just the square footage of that exhibit, because I've seen some videos where there was just a gigantic room of people just walking like almost on a path through the exhibit.
Yeah.
I mean, give people an idea here. I mean, it's massive from what I can tell.
Well,
I don't
the
even know
funny
if it's
thing
all
was,
of it. Yeah.
yeah, it was our first time at PAX West a couple years ago, and they gave us a half space in one of their convention rooms. So we'd set up the exhibit. It was just kind of like a giant horseshoe. You just go around and, but the lineups ended up being, it's a giant square building. So the lineups ended up being all the way around the outsides of the buildings to get in. So the next day they're like, okay, we're going to open up the full room. And so, that night we reset up the entire thing, made it big so we could get more people in the room. But that all that artwork is a fraction of the collection. I think there are 400 pieces now in the collection, so that was maybe a eighth of it. Yeah, I mean, certainly a lot of the significant stuff, like we kind of tailor it each time. We'll bring different important pieces to kind of focus something around. But yeah,
Stefan, it must be a very interesting, completely borderline crazy human being.
Yeah. Stefan, he went into it, man. He just like, and he's a game industry, vet. So he has like even a strong connection with this stuff. So he met all these.
Is he a designer? Is he a game designer? Do I remember?
Producer. Yeah. He's worked for 2K games, for Bungie, Yeah.
What do you think, Tatiana?
So Jeremy, I was going to say there's a really exciting question in the chat that I know the answer to, but I want Jeremy to see it because I think he's just going to make him smile.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, yeah, you bet it would. Yeah, you know what? That's my jam, is the when I do collect like comic game art, I look for the one-off promotional stuff. So like,
Mr. Albuquerque, I thought you wanted to come to OAX, right? Why are you offering it up publicly to this guy? Sorry,
I'll give you my email and we can talk.
I had to share that because I'm like, oh, Jeremy's going to be all over this.
Like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, especially if it's Marvel versus Capcom. I mean, that's great. Yeah, there are some great promotional pieces of art for that franchise. Yeah.
We'll give you the Venmo so you can send CAF 10% of that sale. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Canada doesn't have Venmo, so I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll take 20%.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We'll meet you at the border. You can hand us cash.
Yeah, sure. Got it.
Gabriel, if you need to get a hold of me, it's just Kasra at comicartfans.com. IG is a little weird. Sort of it bounces people off to a list that you don't see. So again, we're super excited. We really want to diversify the base of OAX, whether it's driven by marketplace stuff, which we sort of tend to shy away from anyway, or something like this, which is just exposure to just some amazing art history, different artists, crossover. And what we're trying to do is find an artist that's done comic work and done card work and done animation work, or done 3 of the 4 or the 5 things, and then bring them in. Like, Art Adams has done video game, card, and comic book work, obviously, and illustration here and there. And then once we identify those things and we let them know that those categories of art are a prominent part of what we're doing at OAX, we can trick them into bringing those pieces of art with them, which they've tended to just put aside and let them collect us. No one will ever care about this stuff. So some of this is just to bring it to the surface and for people to see it and for it to be a little bit more activated, right?
Yeah.
Maybe be careful what you wish for. Maybe, but we'll find out. And the worst thing is we'll have these amazing exhibits because we're committed to having these special galleries every year at OAX, and hopefully they become even a little bit more elaborate and interactive. Yep. Tatiana, you got anything else?
Yeah, before we wrap up, I wanted to show something. So just to
Yeah.
give a little bit of backstory. So I mentioned that Jeremy and I recorded the new All Access Art episode, and one of the things Jeremy asks me is like some of my favorite franchises. Obviously, most of them don't have original art. One of the franchises I mentioned was Fable, which had some really great games, some really not great games, and the new one that's coming out looks really good. And Jeremy happened to own a piece. Jeremy, you want to talk about it just really briefly?
Yeah. So an artist, Tom Kiffin, who did Marvel card artwork, he worked for, I guess it was Lionhead even back then, before Microsoft kind of got involved. Fable was called Gods at the time, and he did a series of concept paintings for that game, and he made some available to me when I asked, and I chose one that I thought represented the direction they decided to go with Fable, which is kind of like the lone hero on the road, horseback going to the hometown. It kind of was Fable to me in a nutshell. So that's what I ended up choosing.
Yeah, so Jeremy shows it on the show. We talk about it. It's super exciting. He shows it. And then like 1 or 2 days after we did the show, Jeremy messages me and he says, "Hey, dude, I have other stuff going on, blah, blah, blah. Would you be interested in picking that piece up for me?" And I'm like, shut up. Absolutely, yes. So we had some interesting shipping snafus, but it got here. And I wanted to show it on screen.
That's nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so fully painted for anybody who's played these games. I mean, it really, even though a lot of stuff changed, this really does capture, like you feel like you're in the game, like you still get absolutely the game that it's from. And I'm just incredibly happy. So I haven't put it on CAF yet. I have it all scanned, but I've been waiting because I wanted to show it today.
Yeah, it's lovely. I always like that piece, So I'm glad you got something from a franchise that had something, because it's not always the case,
Yeah. So thank you for that. You guys can get a cleaner scan of it up on CAF pretty soon. But yeah, thanks, Jeremy, for giving me the opportunity in these kinds of communities that where the collecting base is smaller. There's not as many things out there. You rely a lot more on each other, on intel or all of that kind of stuff, or passing things along to the next person. So I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
All right, guys, we're coming into the end of this panel, 6 p.m. Bill is going to walk you through the DCAF app and some of the features and its tie into the Art Scout crazy web crawler that's been built out with the blood, sweat, and tears of underage children over the last 14 months. They're not underage anymore. Damn it.
They've grown up now.
Some incredible work went into that from Bill, Maureen, and Ashton's a great programmer, and some other people. So that is like a very important I guess product that we're going to continue to build out. It's going to be awesome tied into the mobile app. So check that out. Make sure you're using the keywords. Make sure you get the premium sub for CAF and help us out. Because we like to buy art too, and we have to sell art to be able to work at CAF. So please help. Cap in hand, right? So there was just one more. Jeremy hates maximum cartridge. Absolutely hates it.
Hate it with a passion. I wish that was the original. No, it's not. Those are store display posters, the North American and then the Euro variant behind it.
Amazing.
Bill Sienkiewicz is the great artist behind that artwork. And I wish I had that piece. Maybe someday I'll get the opportunity. I don't know.
Well,
now we all know if we ever see it, tell Jeremy.
Please. It belongs on this wall.
yeah. Yeah, that one might be long gone. What year was that? Do you
94.
remember? Yeah, that's like that
It
was
would
like
just be a carnage on a whiteboard.
and
That's all. It's a
Sienkiewicz
whole
might
bigger
refer to
thing.
that. He might refer to that as the decade of divorces.
Yeah, that's right.
It's probably in a black hole collection somewhere, and you never know. It can just resurface at any time, and you just wouldn't know it was coming. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figure. Yeah.
Okay, sorry to cut everyone off. 5:59. The trains are running on time, and you'll be headed over to the decaf panel at 6. Jeremy, thanks. Stay on for a second. Tatiana too. Okay.
Bye everyone.